Today we're going to be talking about something that I've really been wanting to touch on for quite some time now, and that's shark attack movies. Now, with Shark Week 2023 coming up, I know that a lot of us are going to be seeing a lot of this sort of content just popping up everywhere. TVs are going to be playing shark attack movies. I'm here to tell you which ones are actually worth watching based on a few criteria that I think are important when it comes not just to movies in general, but shark attack movies specifically. And especially being a movie enthusiast, I did want to point out a couple of movies that I thought really captured the essence of what a scenario like that would be like. You know what I mean? How horrifying it would be. And gone are the days, of course, when horror movies were actually worth watching. You know what I mean? I feel like they're just few and far between, right? And because animal attack movies, they fall into the horror genre, and shark attack movies in general, they just don't do very well. You know what I mean? They'll do well maybe in the opening weekend because everyone's hyped to watch. Like, for example, what was that movie that just came out? The Meg, or The Meg 2 rather. It's just about to come out, I think. But when Meg came out, people were going crazy to watch it because it was so mainstream, right? It was so cheesy.
I'm gonna make this thing bleed.
But like shark attack movies, let's not forget 1975 when Jaws 1 came out and Steven Spielberg released that masterpiece. We're talking about a movie that was not only the first of its kind, but it was something that was so well made. Now, of course, granted that they used a very fake-looking robotic shark named Bruce for quite a few of the scenes. But remember, those practical effects, they went a long way. It made people really put in more effort, care more about the movie, care more about facts in general. You know what I mean? And now I feel like movies are just cheated because of CGI. The whole art of making movies has just been... You can just tell right away what's fake and what's not, and there are only a few movies that I found are worth a watch when it comes to shark attack movies that literally make you feel the horror of being in such a situation. So we're going to judge these movies based on two factors. One is how realistic do the sharks look and the scenes look in the movie, and also how realistic is the scenario. Is this possible for this to happen in real life, and how likely is it that this happens in real life? So the first movie I want to get into here that really meets this criteria is The Reef. And it was based off a true story, actually, that we've covered on this channel before, and I'll leave the link for you at the end of this video, for those of y'all that haven't watched it yet. Now, what I love about this movie is that they use real shark footage pretty much in every scene. Like, actually, there was no CGI whatsoever. And granted, they used a great white shark, and in real life, it was actually a tiger shark that had attacked Ray Boundy and his girlfriend Lindy, and it was his friend Dennis that actually sacrificed himself in order to save the other two. They were shipwrecked off the coast of Australia, not far from the Great Barrier Reef. And essentially what happens is they have to swim to the nearest piece of land, which was, one was 25 miles away, and the other was 50 miles away. And what happens is they have to decide, you know, how they're gonna get there. And the only option that they had was to make a makeshift raft and essentially paddle their way to the nearest piece of land, which was near the Great Barrier Reef once again. So as they're doing this, you can only imagine the terror because they're swimming through open water here with no protection. So supposedly in real life, it was a tiger shark that attacked Ray Boundy and his friends. And apparently they were picked off one by one by this one tiger shark. But then there are other theories that suggest, and I've seen in the comments in the actual video that I posted on YouTube, where people were suggesting that it was likely a couple of tiger sharks or a couple of other breeds of sharks it could have been. But Ray said that it was a tiger shark each time that measured approximately the same size. That's according to his testimony, and he was the only survivor. So we're never really going to get multiple perspectives on what happened when it comes to that story. So anyways, not only are the scenes very realistic, but it was based off a real life story. Like I said, they used a great white in the movie, but regardless, it was just very well made. The acting was phenomenal, and basically they really captured that sense of dread very well. So I was very highly impressed with The Reef, and I think that's, if you see that movie playing anywhere, if you're looking to enhance your Shark Week experience for 2023, then definitely look into The Reef. That's a great movie. Now, the second shark attack movie I want to talk about here is Open Water. Now, why I really loved Open Water is because the filmmakers, they really went for an authentic experience. You don't even know what species of shark are attacking these two people that are stranded out in the ocean. Now, this is loosely based on a true story that happened to a couple. They'd gone out diving with a group near the Great Barrier Reef, essentially. And this happened back in 1998. And what happens is their boat crew leaves them behind by accident because they went on exploring for a few more minutes. They cut their time really short for the meetup, and somehow the head count was missed. And these guys end up in the middle of the ocean. They waited for their boat crew for quite some time. And just the sense of dread as time progresses, this movie captures it very well. They used real sharks. There was no CGI once again, something that I'm a huge fan of, something that needs more exploring. Like when I make my films in the future, which I intend on actually being a filmmaker and making an actual movie, especially an animal attack movie, if I were to do shark attacks, I would make sure I'm not using CGI. Unless CGI is at a level in the future where you can't distinguish it from real life. Even then, the amount of work that you put into a piece of art really reflects in the end result. That's why you got to put in that extra amount. You got to go that extra mile if you really want a movie to stand out, if you really want a piece of art to stand out. And that's what movies are essentially, right? So that's why I'm really a big fan of Open Water. So it was based off an attack that happened on Tom and Eileen Lonergan. This was the couple that in real life was stranded out in the ocean. They went missing. But truthfully, I don't think anybody even knows what happened to this couple. So that's why it's loosely based on it. This is just a hunch that this is what happened. On their way to the Great Barrier Reef, they were just surrounded by sharks, and there were so many sharks swimming around this couple under them, and the way they were just nipped, they had to survive the whole night, and it was something straight out of a horror movie, pun intended there. It was terrifying. So yeah, Open Water, definitely the second movie I'm going to recommend there. That's one of the best shark attack movies that I've seen. Don't mind the ratings, y'all. Sometimes Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really know what it's talking about. But I can attest to a lot of people that I know that really enjoyed Open Water, despite the fact that it's pretty low budget in comparison to like the big shark movies, like The Meg or, Black Demon or Jaws. Even Jaws had a big budget for its time. Anyways, now the third shark attack movie I want to talk about is The Shallows. Now, The Shallows stars Blake Lively as a girl who's swimming off the coast of, I believe it was Mexico. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments once again, but I'm going off the top of my head here. What I liked about this movie is that the shark looks pretty damn real. Even though they did use CGI, I'm 100% sure they used real great white sharks footage as well, mixed in with that CGI, and they did a pretty damn good job of it. She's in a secluded beach, essentially, Blake Lively is, her character is rather, and she's attacked by this great white shark multiple times. It shows how she survived it. She also witnessed a couple of other people get killed by it, so that's a terrifying situation to be in. I think the film really captured the dread very well, and the survival elements of being in such a situation very well, because she's just not far from shore. But if she starts swimming towards it, then this great white shark that's circling her and knows she's there and she's bleeding is going to get her. So I was very impressed with the way they made that movie. Although it doesn't, rank up there with like The Reef, in my opinion, or like Jaws or anything like that, because it's pretty mainstream. I think it was a pretty decent movie overall. So if you do see that movie, then that's another one worth watching and looking out for as well. So that's number 3. Fourth movie I want to talk about is 47 Meters Down. Now, Mandy Moore stars in this one, and she does an awesome job, essentially just depicting someone who's very afraid of the water. Her friend is this free-spirited woman who really wants to go on this great white shark diving expedition off the coast of Mexico. And what happens is they end up getting trapped at the bottom of the ocean. The winch for their cage essentially fails, and that's what holds it up to the boat and holds it up near the surface. And this whole cage just plummets all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. And they're 47 meters down as a result, hence the name of the movie, of course. Nitrogen narcosis is a big point that they made in this movie. I really liked the way the science of that was explained, because if you're going up too fast, if you're ascending too fast as a diver, then you're prone to getting the bends, which is a buildup of nitrogen bubbles within the body. And that can lead to hallucinations and psychosis and also death and a whole bunch of other symptoms as well. So it's very important to ascend slowly, and they're not able to do this, of course, because there's a great white shark, or a bunch of great white sharks rather, preventing them from being able to exit the cage, and they find this out early. I like the way the great white sharks were depicted. There was CGI used, but it was very well done, especially given the darker lighting conditions. I think they're able to get away with more when it comes to CGI when it's darker. So that was really well used, well done. And once again, the acting was very well done. The sense of dread was very much imminent. So it was a good movie overall. I really enjoyed it in terms of the production value. It has entertainment value. Now, is it the best movie? Can it be compared to Jaws? Or, no, of course not. But it has its Hollywood elements and its exaggerations, of course. But overall, I'm going to put it up there as one of the best movies that you can catch in this Shark Week of 2023. Now, there were some honorable mentions as well that I wanted to bring up, one of them being Deep Blue Sea. Now, in this one, there's a scientist who's trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's, and she has this amazing idea of basically using shark brains to do this. There's this protein in shark brains that's supposed to remove amyloid plaques from human brains, and what happens is not only do these sharks get experimented on, but they go rogue, and this is a big underwater research center that ends up having leaks, and then there's this whole flooding, and then these mako sharks come in and they start wreaking havoc, and they're much smarter than your typical shark. And it's a good movie overall, but of course it's quite ridiculous, especially given the scenario. But LL Cool J's in it with his parrot, and you can't go wrong with that. So entertainment value-wise, definitely you're looking at Deep Blue Sea as one of the tops when it comes to that, with Shark Attack movies. And then there's Bait. Now, Bait was this Australian film that came out. It had a very unique, a very different kind of approach to Shark Attack movies. Essentially what happens is the tsunami hits this Australian city, and these people end up getting trapped in this grocery store, and it's submerged in meters deep worth of water. And they're just like chilling on top of these shelves, and this great white shark appears and it starts picking them off one by one, and they're just trying to fend it off and trying to figure out how they're going to survive the situation. So it's a pretty crazy movie. Entertainment value wise, it's great. Realisticness wise, the shark doesn't look real. Maybe in one or two scenes it might, but that's just the fin. Overall, you can tell it's really poor CGI being used, especially when the shark passes by this one shopping cart. In one of the scenes, you can just see how poorly CGI was used. But overall, entertainment value-wise, if you're looking for something to just kind of just throw on there, it does have its moments, especially this one couple. They were trapped in this parking lot of this mall, and they're terrorized by this one great white that manages to come get in there. So that was pretty terrifying. It had its moments, and it had its chills and, thrills as well. But overall, that's pretty much it when it comes to Shark Attack movies. And that's sad because, Jaws was one of the best movies of all time, arguably, and especially for its genre. And it's just really shocking to see, even after Jaws 1, just how quickly it plummeted. You know what I mean? Like Jaws 2, the quality level in comparison to Jaws 1, the movie, the story, the plot, everything, it was just so not what the first one was, essentially. That's pretty much all I'm saying. But that's pretty much it, sadly, for Shark Attack movies. There aren't that many good ones out there. And as an aspiring filmmaker, I will say this. I hope to one day revive the genre. I'm trying my best right now to just see where all these movies are going wrong. It's not really hard to see where they're going wrong, but it's not an easy genre to make a hit in. And I will say that I have my work cut out for me when it comes to that. But that's what it takes to make real art. It takes effort, it takes genuine passion, and this is a niche that I've been passionate about since I was young. I've loved watching movies to do with animals and animal attacks, and specifically it's been a morbid curiosity for me, or morbid fascination rather. But I will say that I am very grateful. I'm very grateful for all of you who've subscribed. We've just hit 100,000 subscribers, and I sincerely can't wait to bring you the best animal attack coverage on the platform. And thank you for our patrons for your continued support as well. This is Animal Al. I'll see you all next time. Peace.